Okay, this is the second video about data tables. Now, this will be explaining how, this video will explain how to use the cells command together with a for next loop in a macro. Please don't be intimidated by those two things, cells and for next. They're not difficult. Very much like the index on a data table itself. It just goes around, no problems. Because here's why the data tables are so horrible. When even in the newest version of Excel, if we would move these data tables, Control X, and put them into a new sheet. Okay, so let's pretend this is let's call this our sensitivity sheet. And let's call this our model sheet. Okay, and if we would move those, everything worked. Oh, there was no problem. We can just push this up or something. Uh-oh. No, we can't at all. It all blows up. It all doesn't work. How horrible. And the other thing is, we'll make a graph of this, a kind of a two-way graph, and when these things are in the middle, it messes up our graph. So we're going to have to redo one. Now, to introduce how we can make this with our famous cells command and our for next loop, let's start with this one. And where did I put, I'm going to take the IRR from our other sheet. Now, when we take this IRR, actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this IRR. And we're going to delete this silly little yellow box and just compute the IRR with an exit multiple. Now, there are two things we really should name. We should name this range here. We can name it IRR. Select this, Shift Control F3. And then it says we're going to use the right column to the right to make the name. And then do this with the holding period as well. I'm just calling this hold, Shift, Control F3. Oops, that was just F3. Shift, Control F3. And we have two ranged names. If you want to see all the ranged names, you can press Control F3. Okay. Why didn't that work? Okay. I don't know. There it is. And we can see they're in the model sheet, and the scope is for the entire workbook. That means we can call these range names from any sheet we'd like. Okay? So with that, and now I'm not going to use a lot of range names, but let's put the row number. And this is equal row. Okay, we go from 21 to 24. And the really important thing is to make this eventually completely flexible. So I change the row number and change the column number, or if I just want to make this macro apply to every single one, this data table, this data table, or this data table. That's what we'll do in the next exercise. Right now we're just kind of really introducing the subject. So let's make a macro called table. Okay, and we can always make a little button to find the table. Okay, how's the lightning bolt? Okay, right click and assign the macro and assign it to table. Okay, now we're going to make our macro run around, go from row 21 to 24, and we're going to have to do something with column 6 and column 7. So let's look at our macro. Is it there somewhere? Whoops. Okay, tools, macros. Let's find the table, edit it. I've been recording this. Oh, what an idiot. Okay, well, let's try it again. Developer macro. I made that mistake on purpose. Did you notice that I was keeping on just, that sucks. Okay, so let's go from for row equal 21 to 24. This means nothing really. Well, it means something, but it just is saying we're going to take a number, 21 to 24, and we're just going to go around, and this row variable will be 21, 22, 23, and 24. And then we're going to first assign we're going to do what the data table does. And we have the range called hold, and that range called hold equals cells. That's the big trick. Row, comma, 6. Remember, we just put it here, and then we put cells, row, comma 7, we go the other way, equals range, and then we put IRR. And you know, we're finished right here. That's all you do. Is that really all that complicated? And there we have our data table with a macro. Now let's make a two-way data table. That's a little bit more complicated because what we're going to have to do is assign the exit multiple, and I assigned that to the holding period. Let me cheat here and just put holding period. Okay, and now let's assign this one to the holding period and this one to the exit multiple. So we go up and we find our exit multiple, and we select that, whoops, and shift control F3, shift control F3, fine, okay, and that makes a macro named our exit multiple. This time we're going to have to go around the rows and the columns, okay, so what we'll do is we'll make something called a data table 1, and again, we don't need this silly thing in the middle. In just a minute. Okay, let's put our row. Okay, so we're going to go around from row 10 to row 13 and put a column, and we'll go from column 5 to column 11. Okay, so we'll have to go around rows and columns this time. Let's name this one data table 1. What we can easily do is just go to assign macro, edit, and this time let's put the table 1. Okay, and this time we're going to first go around for row equal 10 to 13. This is what we're going to have to fix. And then after we go, we can skip there and let's indent, and for, you don't have to indent, for column equal 5 to 11. Oops. Oh, shoot. Okay. 11. And then we, what we'll do is first let's assign along the row we're going to assign exit multiple. So we put range exit, is that what we called it? Equal cells, row, comma 5. Is that alright? Let's make sure that that's what we really called it. That's why it's good to put these things in here. One of the reasons it is. And now let's go from, okay, let's go from column 5 to column 11. And this time, when we first do this, let's put range, and this time put holding period equals cells, now this is going to be different. It's actually row 9, and then we go around the columns. So this will redo all the columns. We could, by the way, reassign. We could remember what the very first input is and put it back. That would be much better programming form. And then we put cells, row, comma, column equals the range IRR. And then we're finished. And then we put next column. And we put next row. And that wasn't that bad, really, was it? It was one extra thing. Let's see if we can copy this and put this up here. And this time, let's right-click and format and go to Assign Macro and go to Table Number 1 and press OK. And click on that. And it didn't quite work because the exit multiple didn't seem to change. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. What I did wrong on that last one is just I should have made the row number 4 instead of 5 clearly. Okay. So, sorry about that mistake. You do make those kind of mistakes when you do this kind of stuff, or at least I do. You probably wouldn't. And now we can finally make the last one. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this thing and get rid of this one. And we'll make our kind of one-way data table with 2 different rows. Let's do the same thing. Let's put our columns in here. Okay, and we're going to have to go around the columns and the rows again, but a little bit differently. Okay, and I can't seem to copy. Okay, and then this time we go from, I think it's row 10 to 13 again. Okay, and we're going to assign the exit multiple, but this time we need an output for the risk premium. So let's make that one a range name. Premium, I'll call it PREM. Alright, Shift Control F3, and then we go to this one. And we begin the work. Okay, and let's go to our macro, and let's call this one data table 2. Okay, and just like before, we'll okay, data table 2. Okay, we'll go from row 110 to 13, just like we did before. Okay, and now after we've gone from row 10 to 13, then we're going to assign 2 variables. Okay, we'll assign, no, we won't. We'll assign 1 variable. We're just going to assign the exit period just the way we did before. Okay, so that's the first part. But then we'll let's go from, I guess, let's do it the easier way. Why don't you just put cells, and then we put row, comma, and we just put row, comma 16, and we say, well, that's the range of the IRR. And then we put cells, row, comma 17, and that's the range for the premium. And we put next row, and I'm going to finish this video. So let's see if this one, see what kind of mistakes I made on this one. Let's copy this one to here, and Put a call this table 2, and just click on it, and we're finished. And I don't know if you can hear that background noise. I hope you can't. But that's this. And if you want the advertisement, www.financeenergyinstitute.com for some reasonably priced prep classes. Okay, bye.